ABC 25 in Flint. This is Mid-Michigan Now.
The latest federal unemployment data show Michigan has the fourth highest unemployment rate in the country. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Stella Daskalakis.
I'm Mike Woolfolk. Those numbers released last week are based on July. Also, some state counties, including some right here in Mid-Michigan, are among those with the highest unemployment nationwide.
Mid-Michigan Now's Courtney Bennett has been looking into the data and joins us with more. Courtney, what are the numbers?
If we're looking at the state, overall, Michigan's unemployment rate is 5.3%. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That amounts to 270,000 people. The national unemployment average is 4.2%. When we take a closer look, Genesee, Saginaw, and Bay counties have cities that rank among the highest for people out of work. Looking at the numbers, Flint is at nearly 8% unemployed, Saginaw at 7.7%, then Bay City 7.1%. Economics professor Chris Douglas says these are all communities where the auto industry looms large.
It is a constant struggle for some communities in Michigan. It's been a struggle for these communities for the better part of 30, 40, 50 years.
For decades, Michigan has lagged behind the country in unemployment. Douglas says in the 1990s, the state did fairly well, and the number of unemployed people was low.
The reason for that is that the Michigan economy is disproportionately geared towards manufacturing things like automobiles, also furniture, appliances, these durable consumer goods.
But Douglas says the problem with that is those aren't necessities for people, and so when people aren't spending and buying, it means workers aren't needed. As a director of labor, Dr. Elizabeth Fowl at Wayne State tells me Michigan is also heavily impacted by tourism.
Tourism and hospitality industries are actually in a slight decline right now. Why is that? Well, inflation, again, disruption and uncertainty in the economy.
Dr. Fowl also says the layoffs of federal workers had an impact on the rates. But as someone who has studied these numbers for years, she says the current numbers aren't as high as they've been in previous years historically.
We're not on the edge of desperation here. Even a 7.9 rate, well, it's enormously hard for the people of Flint and probably Bay City and Saginaw to have that unemployment. We're not talking about even recession levels right now.
Comparing numbers from the previous year, Bay City, Saginaw, and Flint all saw an increase in unemployment. Flint's seeing the highest jump at 1.2%. For now, live in the studio, Courtney Bennett, Mid-Michigan Now.
All right, Courtney, thank you. A little rain today hasn't moved hundreds of nurses off their picket line at Henry Ford Health Genesys Hospital. This is day 3 of their strike. The nurses walked out on Monday demanding better pay and more staff to handle patients. Mid-Michigan Now's Kyle Macon is live from the picket line for us tonight. And Kyle, what are you hearing from the nurses? Also, what are you hearing from the hospital at this point?
Mike, Teamsters Local 332 kept it pretty simple. They're saying that they're understaffed and just seeing too many patients. Now, one nurse I talked to says when they're given an extra patient, the mortality rate for that patient goes up 7%. Now, we were on scene earlier where you can see hundreds of nurses spread alongside the entrance of the Henry Ford Genesys Hospital. You can see signs that read, "Safe staffing saves lives," Teamsters demand better nurse-to-patient ratio, and understaff is unsafe. The Teamsters say they're asking for better working conditions, and that include better pay, more staff, and benefits. Nundy Ivory, a registered nurse for the hospital, says she's been blown away by the support the community has given.
Here for our patients. We want to make sure that they have a safe environment to where they can heal, where they can be with their families, be with their loved ones. So seeing the support here and hearing the honking lets them know that they also want us to serve in this community.
Now, I've also reached out to Henry Ford Genesys Hospital for a statement where they say, quote, "We know the Teamsters say they are striking because of unsafe staffing ratios. We can report that since the strike has begun, we have seen the strongest nurse-to-patient ratio in a long time. considered in the light of the fact that under the contract that expired August 20th, Teamsters were eligible for premium pay based on the number of patients they care for each day, which may incentivize call-offs and decrease the number of nurses available to take care of patients. There's also been a 22.9% surge in Teamsters call-off at Henry Ford Genesys Hospital year over year, end quote. Now for the full statement, head over to MidMichiganNow.com. Now the Teamsters are expected to meet with the hospital this Friday to discuss the contract, and so make sure to stay with Mid-Michigan Now both on air, online, as we bring you the latest. Live in Grand Blanc Township, Kyle Macon, Mid-Michigan Now.
New tonight, the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office hopes someone can help them identify the person who shot a homeless man over the weekend. Deputies say on Saturday, the man was shot in the arm and walked into a business for help. He was bleeding so badly, the deputies applied a tourniquet and got him to a hospital. Marysville police canine officers did track a scent to a wooded area near 28th and Oak Streets, but they did not find anyone. They say the victim could not describe the suspect. If you know anything about this shooting that might help investigators, give the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office a call.
St. Mark's Community Outreach Center is speaking out after a fire damaged the facility behind the church. The center says in a statement, outside of smoke damage, broken windows, and harm to service areas and office spaces, they remain resolute in their commitment to the community. And quote, say this: we are profoundly grateful for the swift and generous response from volunteers who rushed to clear debris and secure the building, embodying the strength and compassion of our community.
State Department of Education data indicate absenteeism is an ongoing issue which schools across Michigan are working to address. Here in Genesee County, school administrators are looking for solutions. Mid-Michigan Now's Andrea Flores is here after speaking with the interim superintendent of Swartz Creek Community Schools. And Andrea, what exactly does chronic absenteeism mean, and how big of an issue is it for the Swartz Creek district?
Well, Mike, chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of the school year, which is about 18 days or more. In Swartz Creek, nearly a third of students fall into that category. That's why Swartz Creek Community Schools is working with Genesee Intermediate School District to dig into why so many students are absent and what can be done about it.
It just goes back to if you're not in school, you're not subjected to the instruction that's being provided. Yeah. So you can't meet the standards.
Swartz Creek Community Schools Interim Superintendent Jim Kitchen says the numbers are troubling but not unique. Kitchen says Swartz Creek's absentee rate is slightly below the county average, but still too high.
It's not really that different than the county. If you look at the county, we're actually a little bit lower than what they would be. I believe they are at 32%, and we come in around 28% now. It's kind of just the way education is right now.
He says there are a lot of factors keeping kids out of class: transportation, anxiety after COVID, even something as small as not having an alarm clock. That's why a task force in Swartz Creek is working with one at Genesee Intermediate School District to connect with families and break down barriers.
There's a range of reasons why students may not be here, but we have to find out what it is and make those connections so that kids feel that they can be here, that it's important to be here, and that they want to be here.
The district is also inviting families to meetings this fall to talk about attendance. Kitchen says the goal is simple: get kids back in classrooms.
It's big in Genesee County. That's why we need our task force to help us overcome that, and we need our kids to realize that the best education that you're going to get is to be in person every day with your teacher and your peers.
Swartz Creek Community Schools will hear updates from both task forces at their school board meeting on September 24th. Kitchen says while there's no single solution, the more they can involve families and students, the better chance they have of turning attendance around. For now, live in the studio, Andrea Flores, Mid-Michigan Now.
Thank you, Andrea. Michigan's Attorney General, a state senator, and state representative are announcing new legislation to fight human trafficking. AG Dana Nessel says the bills will be all-encompassing and focus especially on victim support and rights. The measures include making sure victims are better protected against crimes they may have committed or forced to commit while they were captive. Also in Lansing, thousands of Michigan workers rallied on the Capitol lawn this afternoon during the Save Our Jobs, Fund Our Roads rally. They are calling on lawmakers to pass a road funding plan. Heavy construction equipment was on display during the rally, with utility trucks circling the streets surrounding the Capitol.